I invited my neighbor on vacation as a joke. She agreed before I could take it back. I still remember the exact moment my careless joke changed the course of my life. It was supposed to be nothing more than an awkward laugh shared across a driveway in a quiet neighborhood outside Charleston, South Carolina. Instead, one sentence escaped my mouth. My neighbor smiled with tears quietly hiding behind her eyes, and before I could laugh it off, she simply said yes. In that single heartbeat, a vacation meant for one lonely man became something neither of us could have imagined. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances can truly change lives, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone you care about, leave a kind comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind the world goodness still exists. My name is Nathan, and after losing both my parents within 2 years, I had slowly built walls around my heart. I buried myself in work as an architect, avoided friendships, and convinced myself that silence was easier than disappointment. Every evening, I would see my neighbor, Rachel, watering the flowers outside the small white house she had inherited from her grandmother. She always smiled politely, but there was a loneliness in her eyes that reminded me too much of my own reflection. One Friday afternoon, I told her I was finally taking the beach vacation I had postponed for 3 years. She laughed and said she hoped I enjoyed every minute. Trying to sound funny, I shrugged and casually replied that she could always come along if she wanted. I expected an amused smile. Instead, she looked down for only a second before whispering that she would love to. My stomach dropped. I had no idea how to tell her I hadn't been serious. Something stopped me. Maybe it was the hopeful expression on her face, or maybe it was the realization that I hadn't seen genuine excitement in another person's eyes because of me in a very long time. I swallowed my pride and simply nodded. 3 days later, we were driving toward the South Carolina coast with 2 suitcases, awkward silence, and absolutely no idea what we were doing. The first day felt uncomfortable. We ate breakfast without saying much, walked the shoreline several feet apart, and spent more time watching the ocean than speaking to each other. I wondered if I had made the biggest mistake of my life. Then the rain came. Instead of hiding indoors, Rachel walked straight into the warm summer rain, laughing as waves splashed around her feet. I couldn't remember the last time I'd heard laughter that genuine, against my better judgment. I followed her. For the first time in years, I forgot to think about deadlines, grief, and loneliness. Over the next several days, we discovered pieces of ourselves we had buried. Rachel confessed that after caring for her grandmother through a long illness, she had forgotten how to enjoy life without feeling guilty. Every vacation invitation from friends had been declined because she believed happiness somehow dishonored the sacrifices she had made. I admitted that I had stopped believing people stayed. Losing my parents had convinced me every good thing eventually disappeared, so I kept everyone at a safe distance before they could leave first. Neither of us offered magical advice. We simply listened. One afternoon, we volunteered at a local beach cleanup organized by a church youth group. Watching families work together, children laughing while collecting shells instead of trash, and elderly volunteers smiling, despite the heat reminded us that life wasn't measured by what we lost, but by what we chose to give. On our final evening, we watched the sunset paint the Atlantic Ocean in shades of gold and crimson. Neither of us needed many words anymore. Comfortable silence had replaced awkward silence. When we returned home, something unexpected happened. Life wasn't suddenly perfect. Bills still arrived. Work remained stressful. Grief didn't disappear. But every morning, Rachel left fresh flowers on my porch from her garden. Every Saturday, I helped repair little things around her house. Holidays that once felt painfully empty slowly became shared dinners filled with homemade recipes, laughter, and neighbors who eventually became friends. Months later, our neighborhood organized a community picnic. An elderly pastor smiled at us and quietly said that sometimes God answers prayers in ways that seem like accidents. I thought back to the joke I almost took back. It had never really been about a vacation. It had been about opening a door I had spent years keeping locked. Before we reach the end of this story, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment telling us about a small, unexpected moment that changed your life forever. Your story might give hope to someone reading through the comments today. 2 years later, Rachel and I stood on that same beach where strangers had slowly become trusted friends. This time, we weren't escaping lonely lives. We were celebrating a new beginning surrounded by neighbors, family, and people who had become part of our journey. Looking across the ocean, I realized that the greatest destinations are rarely places on a map. They're the people who quietly help us find ourselves again. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of someone special, or encouraged you to believe in unexpected blessings, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may need a little hope today. Sometimes a single act of kindness, or even a joke spoken at just the right moment, can become the first chapter of a completely different life.